Hello, welcome to all my combo lords joining me for today's live video in the present future, or in an unlikely case, the past. Today, here at our tilted version of the combo classroom, which we have to be careful with, like if I move too many things, everything will slide, because as you know, sometimes late in the grade of a combo classroom, things may collapse a little bit, and things collapsed at a good timing for me to allow them to collapse, which was when presenting what's known as Cantor's diagonal argument, or diagonalization argument. That was in the last combo class episode, which is technically my main channel, but funny enough, that one's about to hit 40,000 subscribers quite soon, and this one's about to hit 200,000 quite soon. And that's kind of funny because in a long time ago in a stream, I was like, it has about 5 times as many subscribers on this channel because of all the shorts and things like that I consider bonus content, but I guess quantity over quality, as well as the shorts algorithm, have helped this channel rise to success to degrees that the other one doesn't have as many subscribers, but they are the diehard combo lords are for sure on that channel as well. And I said a while ago it was about 5 times as big, and wondered if that ratio would shrink or grow, but apparently it is going to stay quite close to the ratio for the time being, at least, because here we're about to go to 200k and we're about to go to 40k on there. Both of them are less than 2 years old, and that is super awesome to me, and I find it quite wonderful. So thank you all to anyone who's joined here, joined to chat on places like the Discord, or the subreddit, or the Patreon, or things like that. Thank you all so much. In any case, we will probably, when my main camera guy Carlo comes over in not long from now, we're going to do like a 1-hour stream, and then after that I'll be filming with my main guy Carlo, and we will probably film a bonus video about passing 200,000 and what that means. We haven't done a bonus video on this channel in a while because I've been editing all the stuff myself recently, and I've focused all my editing on the main combo class episodes, the next of which should come out on Sunday or Monday, and will be about what I consider the most underrated concept in number theory. That's grandiose, that's big. I'm not just saying that as a clickbaity thing. I actually think it took me a long time when wondering whether I felt like okay titling the next episode the most underrated concept in number theory, because that sounds like a clickbaity title, but as somebody who loves number theory, I think it is the most underrated. It's the concept known as integer complexity I've hinted at times in the past, that will also relate to the numberations we will discuss later in this stream. But that main episode will be a longer-ish episode. It'll be 30 or 40 minutes probably, still piecing together a lot of editing bits of it. And it's going to involve some interesting scenes from a vacation I was recently on. I recently returned from a vacation, and it's the first vacation I've been able to take in a long time, in 4 or 5 years. And that includes many types of vacation, like going camping or something that normally I would do a few times a year. And haven't been to a friend's cabin, which I would do a few times a year in a few years. Now, for those following the combo class journey, they know that's partially because in grade -1, the first season or so of combo class, I was recovering from crazy injuries, and I had to get 2 surgeries while making that grade. And now that I'm through that, I'm finally able to walk normal again. I should probably not have my leg fully under this collapsible desk. We'll keep it over here so we can maintain that status of I can now walk again enough that I'm finally able to be like, okay, when I say we're taking a field trip, we might not just be going to the local marina. we might be going on a longer field trip to wilder, more interesting places. And for example, I recently was able to go on a vacation with my mother as well as a friend, Rishi, who was helping me film on this trip. And it got a lot of good footage to scatter throughout the rest of grade -2 on the island Kauai in Hawaii. And now, this straw hat that I currently have on right here is actually from there, but it's not just something I bought from like a tourist shop or something. I know, the topic of things like cultural appropriation, and I don't want to, are semi valid, and I don't want to be a tourist bothering an island as some random white guy coming from California and bothering an island. However, if you come with good intentions and you treat people well, you'll make a lot of friends wherever you go. And I've made a lot of friends of random locals in Hawaii, in this case in the island Kauai on this trip. And one of them offered to weave me this straw hat for free. And I ended up giving him $20, but he first offered just to weave it for me. And then I gave him $20 just because it was so cool that he offered it. And then after weaving this hat for me from coconut fronds, which will be part of a future episode in this grade, there's one remaining snack break in this grade, and that snack break will be related to the local history of coconuts, how they propagate their seeds in strange ways, and leading to the tale of how I got some good interviews with some of the local coconut choppers and coconut hat weavers that I'll include in the episode, of people who live there on Kauai telling their side of the story and such. And it will also be a scientific episode because coconuts propagate their seeds in a quite interesting way. Now, as far as this trip I was on, I'm not going to show too much of the footage right away to everyone here. I did make a highlight reel of sorts for my Patreon people that I'm also going to link to anyone who signs up as a YouTube member, because I made that an option. So, just because I want to make sure that people who are helping pay for the show get a bonus thing here or there, I did make a highlight reel just for those folks. However, the clips that I got will show up throughout the rest of grade -2. We are about 77 to 80% of the way through grade -2 right now. And depending how you begin your marking of the grades, some people have argued that I should call where we're at grade -1.8, for example, because we've done that many grades. But we did start at grade -1, and grade 0 to grade -1 is a whole nother period I do have a lot of footage about. I'll show you folks in the future. So our marking system begins at 1, but there is also a more secretive 0 that we will show in the past, in that occurred in the past that we will show in the future. Now, as far as the rest of grade -2, I am judging the length of it based on my other combo class channel that I see as my main channel. And on there, I am judging it based on occurring as a 36 length season or so, like a TV show has a certain amount of episodes, 36 episodes per grade on that main channel. And I have playlists I did design relatively recently. If you want to make sure you've seen them in order or whatever, I have chronological playlists of grade -1 and grade -2 out now on there. And grade -2 has 8 more episodes. That will include a finale at the end. And that will include, before the finale, possibly another version of a final exam of sorts. However, the reason I did a final exam in grade -1 before the finale, which was more of a documentary and behind-the-scenes-ish look at what it took to build the grade and the story behind it, the final exam before that I did because it was so different and new for me to be like, okay, I hate tests, but let me design one for fun, and let me try and figure out what's fun about tests and mine that out of there. Well, I feel like I've already done that to a degree, and so there might be another final exam, but the second last episode I'm still keeping kind of up in the air to figure out what I think is fresh and new when that time comes. So those last two episodes are kind of tied down, and then I have the next few episodes, which will occur in terms of what you see. About half of the footage will be in the classroom here, and about half of it will be on the island of Kauai in different interesting locations. And those episodes will include one about integer complexity I mentioned, one that is our snack break about coconuts that I mentioned, one that is about equations that hold true in many different bases, like a string of digits in an equation that in different bases would mean different things but would be true in all of them in different ways. So that one, about which I'm nicknaming in my head my alien bases episode, will also be in this grade, as well as a few more empty spots that I'm still juggling about what I'm going to put in for the rest of the grade, because it's good to keep a few spots open, you know. What if lightning strikes? I need to make an episode about lightning if we get footage of lightning hitting me in the head or something, so you got to keep one or two spots flexible and open to how, especially with an outdoor classroom like this, to whatever occurs in the world. We are in enough of the past halfway point that the desk is more than past halfway slanted, and I have quite long hair and beard at the moment. That is something that I tried to kind of purposefully do, is not cut my hair or beard throughout this grade. I have trimmed them once or twice since the beginning, but that's only because at the beginning, this is the haircut I gave myself from the last grade finale. So I haven't gotten an official haircut of any sorts in like 2 years. I cut my hair down pretty low myself in the last grade's finale, and it's just been growing out since then. And I've trimmed the beard once or twice. And so we are getting more disheveled, as well as the classroom is, as the grade continues, and we'll have some sort of reset when grade -3 occurs. Each new grade will have some sort of interesting reset, and grade -3s, I don't know what sort of reset that is, because a lot of changes are occurring in my life, and some of those I will explain in the finale. Others of those may have to be secrets for a minute, but don't worry, I will share all of the secrets at some point or another. Now, let's take a peek, because while we're streaming, we might get to 199.9 subscribers on this channel. A lot of people are watching the shorts, not the stream right now, but the shorts are going out to a lot of people right now. And so, I hope nobody has some like thing to track my hand movements to figure out my password just by like tracking the way my hand was twitching. Now, because we are at 199,867, so either by the time this stream is going at some point, or by the time that most of the viewers see this stream after the fact, once it processes, it shows up if you look for it in standard definition after the fact if I make a stream, but then it has to take a minute to process the HD, and I think YouTube doesn't like put it in a subscription feed or anything until it's processed the HD, and it doesn't show the chat until then. So kind of annoying, but that's how it works. If you watch a stream back right after the fact, you might not get the chat, and it might be an SD. I don't care. I love YouTube. YouTube's awesome. They don't have a 200,000 subscriber plaque, but I'm very proud of the 100,000 one they sent me, and we are going to get to 1 million to get that next one. Don't worry, folks. It's been less than 2 years since this channel's been alive, and we're about to pass 200,000. It's also been less than 2 years that my main channel's been alive, and even without a bunch of shorts boosting it in that way, that channel's about to hit 40,000. So everyone, make sure that you are subscribed to the Combo Class channel. You could be the 40,000th subscriber. There's no reward for that apart from pride. Now, thank you to everybody wondering how I am doing and such. And I am doing decently. It's a little hard of an adjustment coming back to some difficult things that are occurring in my life after such a nice Hawaii trip. Returning back to, I love my classroom, but I'm currently half moved out for complicated reasons I'll explain more about in the future, and I've somewhat explained in the past. And I somewhat moved into a different area that, I don't know. Next time we do a stream, it'll probably be in that area and we can explain more about it. For now, we are in our lovely Combo classroom, and let's appreciate it here. In any case, I'm doing pretty good, working on a lot of projects, and some of those include the episodes upcoming. Some of those include musical projects, and we are also going to do music lessons, probably at a similar time to when I do my music projects, just due to accessibility of recording things. When I am in a zone that has cool instruments in the backdrop, which is a music shop I used to work at that the owner will let me in after hours on the right day, and a good mic setup to record instruments. We might as well do both at once. We might as well record some of the songs that I have written that I want to rap and sing over the beats that are soundtracks in my Combo Class episodes, which I made myself, as well as add a few more layers of live instruments to those beats, and also do some music lessons. I've done a few shorts about music, but I actually used to be a music teacher, and I do have a mathematical strategy for how to learn chords and scales and important things like that. So we're going to do some of those in grade -3. Grade -3 will also certainly be the grade that we get threeven in the dictionary. Threeven, meaning multiple of 3, is underrated and even does deserve to be in the dictionary, but threeven also deserves to be in there. And so we need it in one of the big ones. People have posted oh, it's on some website's dictionary. No, we need it in Merriam-Webster or Oxford English Dictionary or something like that. One of the big scale website / book dictionaries. Threeven is not on any of those. We're going to get it in there in grade -3. That will be the perfect timing. Because we're just ascending in grades, And so each new grade we're going deeper negative because those haven't been explored yet. People keep asking if I'm going to go upward or loop back around or something, but it's why would I call something grade +4 or something when people have done 4th grade? That's already occurred in most of your lives. And why would I call something 13th grade if that implies you have to have done all 12 grades to watch any of the content until getting up to there? No, we're just going a new direction. So we could go in the direction of I's, but perhaps grade I will be the name of one of my memoirs or something. Now, thank you to everybody who has discovered this and has left random comments. Apart from celebrating getting back from a really cool trip, which, let me say one more cool thing about the trip just to note for people. Chickens are everywhere on that island. They are non-native, so I'm not sure. I interviewed some native people about coconuts, but not about chickens, so I don't know necessarily all of their feelings about chickens, the average native person there. It's a non-native species that really populated the island. However, the chickens there, as an outsider, and some locals probably agree, are pretty cool. They're all over, all sizes. You got the babies and the moms and the dads and the teenagers and every size. and they're every color. There's like bright blue ones and red ones and ones with different striped patterns and dotted patterns, sort of like you might associate a bird here, or a cat or a dog, or is that a squirrel noise? Or a squirrel here being. Maybe not squirrels, you might not associate that with, but whenever I hear a little like thing in the background, which was probably just the wind this time, I wonder, was that a squirrel? But I'm kind of glad it wasn't, because I don't have a nut in my pocket to give it, and I'd feel bad about that. So, how you'd associate cats and dogs here with having all sorts of colorations and patterns. That similar thing occurs in chickens there, where you get these stripes and dots and etc. I also got some footage of me next to some peacocks, next to some tiny ducklings, next to a giant canyon with fog and without fog, and a lot of other rare things that will show up in the next few Combo Class channel episodes, as well as another short or two and maybe bonus video on this channel. I was going to make coconuts a bonus video for this channel, but enough cool stuff on the trip occurred related to coconuts that I ended up deciding it had to be a main snack break for what I consider my main channel, despite, as we have said, the 5-to-1 ratio in subscribers that shorts seem to bring. Now, thank you to everyone joining me. Apart from all that, I have been exploring some interesting things with what I have called numberations, which are related to the next main episode about integer complexity. But the main difference being that with the numberations, if I consider them costs at any point, and I calculate how much is in a times 5 as 5 or a plus 3 as 3 or such, that we are occurring them one at a time, not in a sort of order that we can apply parentheses to and adjust the equation that way. Now, if I was able to add parentheses but use a limited batch of operations, and I used numbers, and I was trying to reach other numbers, and I was like, okay, to reach 11, I could do 2 times 5 plus 1, and I'm allowed to put parentheses wherever. That ends up being similar to the integer complexity concept we'll be looking at, where we could call that 1 plus 1 times 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, or 5 of them. And basically the question of the next main episode is how many ones it takes to build a number. And there's 1 or 2 specifications, obviously, I'll have to make to explain that concept, because otherwise you're like, okay, 7 is 7 ones if I just add them. But if we add things like multiplication and parentheses, and then add other operations, we stumble down this rabbit hole that I stumbled down in the past, re-stumbled into recently through these numberation explorations, and decided it was the time to make the episode about how my playing around with a certain pattern led me to this underrated number theory concept. Now, with the type of numberations that I'm playing around with for a basic game I'm designing now, there is a version that works more linearly, as I mentioned, like you'll times 5, then plus 1, then divide by 2 if possible, things like that, but one at a time as opposed to applying parentheses to bits. And you may have other sorts of numberations that are possible. Well, in that game, each card I was treating just as a single cost, like times 2, times 3, and times 5 were certainly included. Those are the smaller primes. Times 4 was included in some versions I was juggling with. Plus 1 through possibly 5 could be included. And I came very close to something that I really liked that I haven't quite made work. I keep almost thinking I've got it, but then it's a little off and it's not quite there. I want a logical set of numeration cards so that the target number, which currently is 31, theoretically could change to another number, but I would like it to be smaller than 50 so people are familiar with the maybe like an average person who's half interested in math would be familiar with the factors of the numbers near it. So that's more likely with a number like 31 that you'd be familiar with the factors that build up, say, 25 to 35, as opposed to if the target number was up in the 70s or 80s. But the game works with 2-digit numbers, and we're considering the first digit could be a 0, so that includes 1-digit numbers, I suppose. The numbers between 0 and 99 that are integers, and that's just one starter version of a game I'm designing. And I wanted it to be so that the target number took more possible cards of different numerations than any other number, but had a lot of ways to do it with that. And I was very close to getting, and I still am very close, I'm still working on it, to getting 31 as a target number to take 4 cards, but there be so many combos of 4 cards that can get you there. But every other whole number from 0 to 99 you can get to with 3 or less. Now it's tricky, and it led me to an interesting question mathematically, with which combos of this thing I've nicknamed numerations and which ranges that you allow, which combos can you create that leave a single number costing more than all the others? In this case, I want my range to be 0 to 99, the whole numbers. So which combo of numerations can I use to make a number like 31 take more steps than any other number? But then, also in addition to that mathematical question, I wanted to have many ways to get there, because that would make the strategy of the game more fun. You're not looking for a particular 4 cards that would lead you there, that there are many sets of 4 that could lead you there, but no sets of 3 could lead you there. Now, in the game, you basically have 2 different numbers that you can adjust, and you're trying to equalize them during your turn. And so one of them I've been playing around with is either going to start at 0 or 1. And I'm not positive if in the first starter version I'll make it start at 0 or 1, because there's pros and cons to a lot of things, folks. And then the other pile will most likely start at 31. But I would really like if I can get that trait where 31 is the only number out of that mix that takes 4 cards to get to. So we'll see if I can master that, because I can do it if I put in really arbitrary numerations like times 19 or something, but I want them to be logical feeling numerations. I want them to be things that make sense that you'd see on the card in the game. And so we need the combo of fun strategy and mathematical type of strategy or game theory in sorts, like for fixed batches of numerations that you have unlimited access to and target ranges, which players could get to which number. You may get to infinite ordinals if you study that in a particular way, if you went at it like John Conway. Now, this numerations game is one thing that is similar to integer complexity, but so is another one I developed that I'm still working on, the bigger scale game. This is a more complex one that was a bit inspired by games like Magic, The Gathering, or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! That have building card bases, and over time more cards are incorporated, and part of the strategy is which deck you build out of those with particular deck building restrictions. And so for that sort of game, you often want a system to pay costs for things. And that was another place I was led to the numberation rabbit hole of imagining, what if you had to pay an exact cost for something instead of more than enough for it? And you had to add or multiply and subtract and divide, perhaps, to hit target numbers to pay a certain cost. Well, developing a unique, what I think of as a mana system, because in Magic the Gathering it's called mana or mana, and that was the game I knew the most out of those trading card games. So I think of it as my version of a mana system, just because that's the game I'm most familiar with out of the games that have that cost-like structure. And then I also wanted to design my own version for where things existed on a battleground, or which zones are the dead pile or your hand, and unique ways of having that work, with a few rules that I wanted to maintain, like that if a card was ever revealed to the opponent, that it would stay revealed, and maybe it would even be in a different zone for revealed cards of that realm, so that memory was not a crucial aspect. So you could start on any turn, and by looking at the board and looking at the cards you had access to, know exactly what the ideal move could be from there. So, those are some things I've been playing around with, and what I wonder if anyone has their own time that they fiddle around with this is, can you find any ranges of numbers and combos of numerations? Those can include things like flip the digits in base 10 or other things. I was going for ones that do have an inverse, that are either their own inverse, meaning if I apply them twice, it leaves the number the same, or that have another card that reverses them. And that makes it sort of bijective. If you've seen the last main combo class episode where I try and explain bijectivity through cats, through the three cats that I don't know if we'll get any cat meows today, but don't worry, they'll be in plenty future episodes. And I made mine bijective where they each have inverses that were also included, and that's not necessary. But for example, in this case, I was trying to design it so if you have a numberation that goes times 2, you have one that goes divided by 2. And if you have a numberation that's squared, you have one that's square root. And that you don't have any you can't backtrack. So I can't say, for example, the greatest common factor between two numbers, because there could be multiple different numbers that give me the same greatest common factor answer. So I can't have one other card that backtracks me to the right specific one. There's multiple ways we could backtrack. And so, this relates to bijective functions are really the sum of surjective and injective functions. And I did try and explain that through my cats in the last episode, so make sure you've checked that out. Now, in any case, see if you can find any combos of numerations, ideally ones where each has an inverse, or some are their self-inverse. Like, for example, if I have 99 minus the current number, then instead of adding or subtracting, starting from the number, like 99 minus the number, we look at each digit's difference from 9 and calibrate it to that. It works well in our base 10 system that we're stuck in, to have 99 minus or 100 minus be something along those lines. Or 110 minus would actually work kind of well too. Think of if you can see why that would be the case. And to have things like that in our base 10 system work, but you could have it in other bases. You could say, like, if it was in base 6, that representation, switch the digits, and then go to the number that represents. And you're only allowed to play a card on a pile if it can give a valid result. And there are many ones that you could do related to different bases. The starter version of some of these games will have to be a bit base 10 centric if we want any things like a digit swap, so that we don't have it hyper confusing for other players. But we may have like optional cards you could throw in the deck as bonuses that would be like a digit swap in base 6 or something like that. Now, somebody asked, let me check our comments. I moved my thing. Somebody asked, can I explain graph theory? Well, graph theory showed up in some of the main combo class episodes. The one that I recommend watching if you want to see my take on a little bit of graph theory is the one about Ramsey numbers. Now, Ramsey numbers are this question in graph theory of interconnectivity, and there's a lot of really simple analogies for them related to handshakes at parties and such that are used, but they are a graph theory concept at heart, and there have been new discoveries made on that relatively recently. So there is an episode in grade -2 that is about Ramsey numbers. And if you look up my episode about that, that will present my basic take on the intro to how I wanted to lead some of my viewers to graph theory. However, graph theory will show up again in the future because it's a very cool concept and it has many really simple unsolved questions. Questions that you can phrase in a single, sentence with less than 30 words that are unsolved. So graph theory is a pretty fun field to play around with, and we certainly will explore it further in the future. Now, thank you to everyone who has joined us, and leave any comments if you do want to ask any questions before we wrap up today's stream, because I'm going to get to filming before long, and I mostly wanted to just say hi to my combo lords, let them know that I'm very appreciative that we're getting close to 200,000, and that I'll probably make a bonus video related to that anyway, but thank you all in advance for sticking around. Make sure you are also on the Combo Class channel, and one of you could be the 40,000th subscriber there. And the next main episode about integer complexity is going to be one of my favorite episodes I've ever released. It's going to be one of my favorite videos I've ever released. If not my favorite ever, possibly. We'll see if I can edit it and film the last couple segments for it in a way that makes that dream fulfilled, but it is going to be between one of and the most important episodes I've ever made to me, because it relates to this thing I discovered before I started posting videos here in this rabbit hole I went down just from my personal number investigations. And I've wanted to make the episode for a few grades, and now I re-stumbled into the concept through exploring these games I was designing, and I was like, it's time to make the episode. And looking back at it, it's still what I felt confident naming the next episode, the most underrated concept in number theory. So you'll see why I mean that when that next 30 or 40 minute episode comes out. I'm going to say probably around Monday, give or take a day. So it's sometime between Sunday and Tuesday that episode should be out. Now, thank you all for joining me for the live stream, whether you're joining in present tense or future tense. I probably need to clean up a few things around here because, if I just leave them here, they're just going to keep sliding down, and need to reset up a few clocks and such. So we might wrap up pretty soon, but here is our little look at the modern state of the Combo Classroom. Still looking pretty magnificent, still got plenty of stopped clocks. We are at the chaotic near end of grade stage, so it may be a little more chaotic, just like I may be a little more disheveled than usual. And we will have some sort of reset when grade -3 occurs. But we have 8 more episodes on the main Combo Class channel before that's going to happen. So, thank you all for joining me today. I'm going to post something bonus when we hit 200,000, and I'm also going to keep posting some other shorts and things that I have filmed recently. And stay tuned for a lot of really cool natural backdrops in the next few Combo Class episodes, where I filmed probably half the footage of the episodes will be in the island of Kauai, in some beautiful places I found. So, and some cool animal interactions and such. And if you do want to subscribe to the Patreon, or I will make sure this is available to members at some point later today who do the YouTube one instead, I did post an unlisted video for the Patreons that I will put for the YouTube members later today. That is a little clip show of about 4 minutes of footage from my trip there. And for others, you will have to wait to see the coolest moments as they show up in episodes throughout the rest of the grade. And I love you all so much. Thank you for joining me, and I will catch you in the next live stream. Or short, or whatever.